Fair prices and expert service. Visit GNB Energy today on Intercraft Drive in Statesville or gnbenergy.com. GNB Energy, home of the $480 Rinnai tankless water heater. Restrictions apply.
Hello, hello all, and welcome to the L Show, where the L in the L Show stands for leaning in, which means we will not shy away from any subject, no matter how taboo or uncomfortable. Things like menopause, sex and libido, menopause, dry vagina, hot flashes, mental health and depression, which makes you not want to have sex, how we look and how we feel. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Eastman, and I am the owner of Rose Pharmacy and Boutique Apothecary located here in Cornelius. We are a compounding pharmacy with a focus on functional medicine and a much more natural approach to your health. And for those who are not familiar with what compounding is where your pharmacist makes medications that are formulated in a specific dose and or in a specific dosage form that is unique to you. Not all compounds or compounding facilities are alike, and quality shows in every aspect of what we do at Rose. And if you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, well, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you. And do you feel like you may be taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services where we can help you safely work on solving that issue. And remember, the gut regimen for your new year. Everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. And with Rose, there is a guarantee of what is in each bottle. Very few companies can offer that to you. Also, considering this time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of Sweet's elderberry syrup. Just what we need to help our immune systems. And also, don't forget that you can call into the studio at 844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Rose Pharmacy and Boutique Apothecary, on our website, roserxboutique.com. Also, we are streaming live on WSICnews.com, social media and YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X, and LinkedIn, and also Instagram Live. So you can check us out, see what we're wearing and what we look like, all that good stuff. So thank you for tuning in and listening. So this week, I noticed that there were so many people who felt like they were coming down with something, or they were in the active throes of an infection, or just getting over an illness, or who has a family member or the entire household was ill. I mean, that's just, it's nuts. I mean, I am selling through all of my elderberry, all of my zinc, vitamin C. It's crazy. So while the holidays are a great time to get together and be really merry, and of course the cold weather also makes us want to stay inside, it is due to all of that togetherness that the illnesses are running rampant. Remember, closer in proximity means there is a higher degree of viral spread. I have seen more COVID, flu, and RSV over the last couple of weeks than I have in a very, very, very long time. And, you know, people are being hospitalized with the hope that they can make it out alive. I mean, really. And it's remarkable and scary. And why is this scary for me? As much as I believe in a holistic approach to health, research and clinically backed preventative measures made possible in Western medicine absolutely has its place. But because of Dr. Google and Dr. Conspiracy Theory, many folks will meet an outcome that was preventable. And I am really gearing this towards vaccines. There may be some that disagree with me. However, I will take my last breath speaking out on the importance of vaccinations, especially in certain populations. diabetes, people with heart disease, people with lung diseases. People with those diseases have a much higher likelihood of hospitalization and death from one of these illnesses. And if you, the caretaker of one of these individuals, aren't vaccinated, you are putting them at risk as well. So then, you have those people who will say, well, I haven't had the flu in years and I've never gotten the flu and I've never gotten the flu shot and I don't get sick. Well, that's probably because of something that we call herd immunity. I'm not sure if people have heard of herd immunity, like that little joke. But it's herd immunity. Basically, it is where the people around you, they have been vaccinated, so they're not getting sick. And so they are the ones who are protecting you from getting sick. So it's really not totally about you. It's about the people who are around you. So people take for granted that concept of herd immunity. Or you have people who have gotten an illness and they didn't even know that they got it. I mean, it was so mild. It was so mild that you may not have even known that you had gotten the flu, right? But what if you got it and you didn't know and you went to visit your severely immunocompromised 10-year-old niece or nephew and they are unable to be vaccinated, medically unable to be vaccinated? So vaccinations are not just about you. They are about the community and your family and your connections. And people will endure and struggle and shovel mounds of anything you put in their path for a loved one. So my question here is, how is this any different? So don't believe certain hypes. No flu vaccine is ever going to give you the flu. No COVID vaccine is ever going to give you COVID. If you felt ill after getting the vaccine or you got the flu after getting a flu shot, it's because you had the flu before you got the shot. So the shot didn't give it to you. If you felt a little ill after getting the vaccine, you had a fever, you had chills. Well, that's kind of a good indication that your immune system is working. That's what it's supposed to do. That's what you want it to do. That's how we know that your immune system is getting into gear to help to protect you. It's recognizing it is foreign and going to town. So remember, vaccines are not always going to stop someone from getting sick. However, it's there to keep people from dying or people being hospitalized. We will continue this conversation in our fourth segment. But before break, of course, I want to make sure you know if you or your healthcare provider is looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, well, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you, where quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And do you feel like you're taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services where we can help you safely work through solving that issue. And your gut regimen. Remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. The effectiveness of any therapy that you're on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. And with Rose, there's a guarantee of what is in each bottle, and very few companies can offer you that. Also, considering the time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of Sweets elderberry syrup, just what we need to help our immune system. Now, don't forget that you can call into the studio, 1-844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. And we will be right back with our guest, Christiane Matey, registered dietitian and owner of Mint Nutrition. We will see you all on the other side of the break.
Whatever the story,
we have to end our dependence on China.
Have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Well, starting out with clouds, but clouds clearing as we head through the day on our Friday. More sunshine coming back, but you'll notice the wind picking up, gusting around 30 miles per hour this afternoon as that cold air is ready to rush in ahead of the weekend. Another Arctic blast on the way. Temperatures fall down into the mid-teens tonight. Barely getting to freezing tomorrow for our Saturday. We're back down in the teens Saturday night, ending the weekend in the upper 30s for Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
here is your WSIC community calendar. Having performed all over the world, written hit songs, and mentored artists, Rocky Lynn is making another stop here at home, playing at Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday. Listen each weekday morning for your chance to win tickets and meet and greet passes. And come hang out with us prior to the show. WSIC will be in front of Kane Center for the Arts from 6 to 7 p.m. Rocky Lynn this Saturday, kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Mooresville Parks and Recreation presents the Hitmen of Country, playing at the Charles Mack Citizen Center Friday, January 19th. Love country music? The Hitmen of Country have toured and recorded with some of the country's greatest artists, like Keith Urban, Trace Adkins, Travis Tritt, and Jason Aldean. For more information, go to visitmooresville.com. That's visitmooresville.com. Birkdale on Ice is still going on through January 28th. Time to lace up your skates and hit the ice. To make sure you can skate when you want, we recommend you making a reservation. For skate session info, including times and pricing, visit birkdalevillage.com. Want to attend the Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show? How about the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen each day to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Greater Charlotte Home and Garden Show, February 23rd through the 25th. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, January 26th through the 28th. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC. News. Talk. Now.
Hello, all, and welcome back to the L Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Eastman. If you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you, where quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And do you feel like you may be taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services, where we can help you safely work on solving that issue. And your gut regimen for the new year. Remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. With Rose, there is a guarantee of what is in each bottle. Very few companies can offer you that. And also, considering the time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of Sweets Elderberry Syrup, just what we need to help our immune system. And remember, again, you can call into the studio, 1-844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. Speaking of gut, we have in the studio with us today, well, again, welcome back, Christiane Matey, who is a registered dietitian and owner of Mint Nutrition. So she was on a previous show with me talking about her practice, and I wanted to bring her back because we started off the new year on the right foot, and we want to keep that momentum going. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you could join us again. We didn't get, we had to kind of rush through the last show. I mean, we just there's so much more. So I want you to share with viewers around, why you chose the field. There are many people who are led into their professions, right? Mm-hmm. There's some experience, some personal thing that I want you to kind of share with us what led you into where you are today with your profession.
Sure. Yeah. So I fall under that category of, my own personal experiences and love of food, of course. I grew up in the restaurant business. Our house was above the restaurant, and my parents were both chefs, and really kind of led into some dysfunction with food, and had some weight issues at a really young age, and really had to learn how to become healthier, and found my passion around food, becoming a chef, and then later in life becoming a dietitian, trying to teach people healthier lifestyle. So really, I think everything that has led me to this area to really help others is what drove my business.
So you had mentioned that you grew up over your parents' restaurant.
Hmm.
I did not know that from
Yeah.
even from the last show.
Yeah.
So, what about there was something with some weight loss though that
Hmm.
tell me about that with the weight loss when you were in age 14 or something?
Yes, yeah. So by the time I was probably 11 or 12,
Mhm.
I grew up in the 70s, so of course it's like 80s. Every latchkey kids, the parents weren't around. You eat
Yes.
whatever you want. My
Yes.
parents were running the restaurant, so we had moved at the time away from the restaurant into a different house. So yeah, I ended up being over 200 pounds by the time I was 11, 12 years old.
What?
Like a size 18. I wasn't fully grown then at that time. So I just, after I think 8 or 9, had some traumatic childhood stuff. I think was probably the root cause of a lot of that. Um, and ended up very, very large at a young age and tried everything. My mom would put me on all sorts of stuff. I still have PTSD from the tick, tick, tick scale, where they like, oh, we're going to the next category. So just even seeing that scale is very visceral for me. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a scale in my office. I'm like, nope, I don't need one. Yeah. So I ended up losing a little over 100 pounds by the time I was 14.
Ow.
Weight Watchers, because back then we didn't have internet or anything else. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. My aunt was like, I'm gonna do it with you. So I said, okay, let's do it and learn how to eat healthy and count points. And back then Weight Watchers, you had to count everything, even fruit. So it led me to really understand I couldn't have whatever I wanted. I mean, I had a restaurant at my fingertips anytime. I could walk into the kitchen and get nachos or chips or ice cream and
Delicious.
yeah, delicious. If they had that restaurant for 30 years. So, and you have parents who are chefs. So there's, food is our center. So it was this unhealthy relationship I had with it for a really long time and had to learn at a young age to be healthier with it. So yeah, it really was sort of the leading to all that. And I had a lot of gut issues. So I think that together gave me just insight on like, how do I learn? I got to figure out my own problems. And I did go to culinary school and cooked all over the world. The earlier part of my life, and I loved it. It was amazing, but it's still something called to me like, oh, I want to learn more about nutrition, and I'm so interested in this gut health. I got to figure out what's happening with mine, and that led me to go back to school in my 30s, and that's what I did. I went back to school for a long time and got many degrees, and kept digging and digging, and trying to figure out my own problems, and that's what's led me here.
But before you begin your program with something, and we touched on this the
Mhm.
last time that you were here, but it was just a very quick little blip.
Hmm.
How important is mindset and focus, and why?
It is everything. We have all this information out there, but if we don't have the right tools to be able to put them together or be successful or even believe that we can do something, then we're not. So often people come in and if someone calls me and says, Christiane, I'm never going to lose the weight, then I'm like, no, you're not. You're never going to lose the weight. If you truly set yourself up in that mindset, you won't. Where you focus is where you're going to go. So often I have people do this little task. I have them create their personal avatar, like their inner superhero. Who are they? What are they about? What do they aspire to be? What do they look like? How do you want the world to see you? How do you see yourself? And you have a blank canvas where you can create this person and you give her or him a name and you say, mine's is Amelia. I don't know why. I just came up with this name. And she looks like Carrie Underwood and she's like Mother Teresa, but she's a ninja and she's also Oprah and she's Martha Stewart. Like she's the best chef in the world, but she's bad, she's bad to mess with. So, but when I don't want to do something or I'm lazy, I'm feeling lazy, or my trainer's like, go do this. I'm like, what would she do? She'd be like, get off your butt and go do it. So I have people kind of focus on or have them create what they want. And if you think about it and focus on it, that's where all your actions are going to go if you truly focus on that.
So when they're this is interesting to me. So when they're creating the avatar, are you having them draw? Are you having them write it down and describe, or like
Yes.
what does that look like?
They get like a journal. I said, take a journal. I've had a group of people where I've taught this to, and they were all pulling out their journals with pictures and, Susie Rockstar. I don't even know. They had all these names, and I was like almost in tears. And I'm like, wow, they really went after this. They would just sit there and fantasize about who they wanted to be, and who they were. Because, trauma and life tends to change us a lot. And so I wanted people to think about what they aspired to be and all they wanted to bring with them all the people they really respect, family members or people they don't even know. You look up to somebody, and I think that's really helpful because it helps drown out the negative mindset, which we all have. We can raise our hands and talk about should have done this, or, they all come into my office, Christiane, I really messed up on Saturday. And it really puts a black cloud over the whole week, so I'm like, man, you just focused on this one thing on Saturday. And then you said, oh, forget it. Sunday, you know what? Sunday and Monday, whatever. I'm going to do whatever I want. She's going to be so mad at me anyway. It was just,
Yeah.
oh, I ate too much, whatever. Or I had a couple glasses of wine with a chocolate cake. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened all last week? And they're like, oh, all these things. And I'm like, that one event just clouded everything else. So we just naturally focus on the negative. I think sometimes that's human nature. That's how we survive.
That's the way our bodies are designed, right? We're always
Totally.
trying to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's-
Yeah. But that can overshadow progress.
Mhm.
So then we can be our worst. I always tell people, don't be your worst cheerleader, your bad roommate. And nobody wants to go home where
The
it's
bad
like,
roommate,
yeah. You be your own bad roommate. Be your biggest cheerleader. Of course, come in and be like, look, this is what I did. There's nothing wrong with that. Somehow in our society seems to be a bad thing across the board.
Right.
Then they all look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, you should be coming in here shouting from the rooftops. I'll be your cheerleader, but you got to be your own.
Listen, that's tough. That's tough love. That's true love.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it is.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Good.
So before you begin, so we have the mental baseline that we've
Mhm.
established, right? So we focus, the mindset. What's the first thing that you tackle? And of course, I'm leading you down
Yeah.
down the road that because I love gut. Okay, but what's
Yeah.
the first thing you tackle?
Is gut health, is really kind of addressing that. So I always, start with a health assessment, get a deep dive. And sometimes people come to me, oh, I just want to lose weight. And then I notice there's some dysbiosis or other things. So we go down that road to tackle gut health first. Mm-hmm.
So there's the book, and so we'll talk a little bit about the book, the Super Gut book.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually people let me have the book. I want people to be able to see what the book looks like. Yeah, Bill, can you see it? All right. So this is the book that we're going to talk about as well. But, I think everyone who knows me, who knows about the show, gut health is a major piece of what we all believe in. And so this is why I love Christiane, because she lives it, breathes it, knows it. And so, of course, I love talking with her about it. Now, on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about how much focus she is putting on certain things when it comes to the gut. So without further ado, before we go to break, just remember, if you or your healthcare provider is looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you, where quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And do you feel like you may be taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services, where we can help you safely work on solving that issue. And your gut regimen, remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. And with Rose, there's a guarantee of what is in each bottle. Very few companies can offer that to you. Also, considering the time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of our Sweets elderberry syrup, just what you need to help your immune system. And of course, please call in for questions, comments. We'd love to interact with you on social media, 844-STUDIO-4 or 844-788-3464. And remember also, we are streaming live on WSICnews.com, social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X, and LinkedIn and Instagram Live. We will see you on the other side of the break. Back with Christiane Matey.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't fix America's debt by starving its people.
Have your say.
One shooting after another, and we're doing nothing to solve it?
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Well, staying windy and getting cold tonight as temperatures drop down into the mid-teens under a clear sky. By the time you're waking up Saturday morning, wind chills in the single digits across the Lake Norman area. Even though we'll have sunshine, we'll stay windy and cold, below freezing all day for our Saturday, with high temperatures only up around 30. Dropping back into the mid-teens again. The wind relaxes for Sunday. We're just a little less cold in the upper 30s to round out the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort for your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed for a limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Johnson's Parts and Supply, your Auto Value Auto Parts store, carries Wagner brakes as well as Gates belts and hoses. They also make their own hydraulic hoses. Johnson's Auto Parts, your Auto Value Auto Parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
If you have an upcoming event, let WSIC spread the word. Go to WSICnews.com and click on the Community Calendar button. WSIC, proud to be part of your community.
Welcome back to the Elle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Eastman. If you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, well, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you. Quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And do you feel like you're taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services where we can help you safely work on solving that issue and your gut regimen. Remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. We're talking about that today. The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So please take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. And with Rose, there is a guarantee of what is in each bottle. Very few companies can offer you that. And also considering the time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of Sweets elderberry syrup, just what we need to help our immune system. And again, don't forget that you can call into the studio, 844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. We are here with my guest, Christiane Matey, owner of Mint Nutrition. We left talking about, going into almost the book, Super Gut. So tell us about the book, Super Gut.
Yeah, that is a great book. It's the doctor, a lot of people know him from the Wheat Belly. He's got a lot of other books out there, William Davis. And this book really kind of highlights in the beginning why we're at where we're at, why we all dysbiotic and have a lot of gut issues and IBS. And a lot of it has to do with diet and environmental, how we've really changed as a society, how we're so stressed out over, overproduction or over prescribing of certain medications, just going on antibiotic and lots of surgeries. It can really kind of shift that. So I think it's insightful in terms of where it originated from and then what to do about it. How can you sort of rebuild and get that growing again? It's a good guide.
So what does he talk about when it comes to like your biome And so explain to our listeners what a biome is when we're talking about our gut.
Oh, sure. So as you're a baby up until the first year of birth, you're really kind of building this. It's almost like a garden. You're trying to plant seeds. So if you're running around the ground and you're exposed to certain bacteria, it'll get in there and inoculate and plant those seeds. And by the time you're a year old, you have the biome or the gut flora of an adult, and it stops planting seeds. So that will be the baseline of what you'll have for the rest of your life. So how you're born, vaginally, C-section, breastfed, bottle fed, what you're eating, crawling around and doing, all make a difference.
And changes, and it's specific to each person. And so changes in that biome is where we're dealing with dysbiosis.
Yep, absolutely. And that can originate from all of those things, stress or diet or antibiotics or surgeries can really shift the biome. And now we have infections or dysbiosis, which means you can have chronic constipation, diarrhea, just gas, bloating, belching, food sensitivity, so you can get leaky gut, all the things that really kind of come along with that. They can be mild symptoms. They could be pretty chronic and bad. Yeah. I've seen all of it. Yeah.
Talk to us about nutrition and its effect on the mindset. It's the gut, mood, food sensitive, things that you just mentioned. So talk to us about nutrition and how that feeds into it.
Sure. And that's one of the components too. If we're eating fast food and the standard American diet's probably not the healthiest thing. It's not like we're living in Europe and, a lot of our
fresh.
Yeah, everything's fresh and they don't have all sorts of chemicals in there and people grow their own food and it's one of those things that I think is insightful. We're quick grab and go and everything's processed or cooked in plastic and or maybe is plastic. I don't know. I mean, who knows what's in our food these days?
I know.
I'm like, did it grow somewhere? I don't know what's in there. If you can't read it on a label and know what it is, then it's probably something made in a lab generally. So that can really feed into it, but it's all the other things too. So diet is a component, in dealing with infections. So having an infection can actually make you want those foods. Having candida or yeast overgrowth can make people feel like they have a sugar addiction or alcohol or food. Yes.
Explain to us why that is.
Because your gut is the second brain. So when you have these bad bugs, like these bad, microbes that live in the body, they want to be fed. So they literally make you feel like you're addicted to something. So people can often say like, I can't put down the sugar, or if something is around, or I feel like I need to drink alcohol every night, and I don't want to discount anyone's dysfunction maybe with something, but I'm like, it might be the infection too. And it's interesting how people often, I don't really crave that anymore. And I'm like, that's fascinating when you start to kill off some of the bad bugs. Yeah. And it makes people really inflamed so they can't gain weight or they can't lose weight. Usually the majority can't lose weight with dysbiosis.
So are you saying that because I like to have a glass of wine each night that that there are little winos in my belly?
Drink more, please.
The wino bacteria.
Yeah. We got to name that.
The new bacteria. Yeah. So I've got it.
I'm right there with you for sure. Yeah.
So what about explain to us about like the mucosal barrier and tight junctions?
Yeah. Okay. So when you should, in a healthy gut, you have this nice little mucosal barrier that's very protective and all the good bugs, the things that we want growing, because they kind of crowd out the bad ones. So when we don't have a lot of the good ones, the bad ones grow over. If it's inflamed and dysbiotic, that lining can get really thin. And then we have these tight junctions that connect our small intestine together. And these little Panama canals, it's how we're supposed to be metabolizing nutrients and such. And if we have a lot of inflammation, proteins can get in there and cut this Panama canal down, and now we can start getting food sensitivities, or we eat something and break out in hives, and those proteins will hit the portal vein and trigger the immune system to start reacting when it's just because of the infection.
I come in and I have some gut issues. So where do you start?
A deep dive on history assessment, because it's like a thumbprint. Your biome is so unique to you. So I really try to figure out, what's the root cause of everything? What are ways to tackle that? Do we have an infection? Do we need to kind of mitigate that? How do we rebuild the gut? How do I help teach people or help them learn what their body needs? Because not everyone fits into a box. So they might learn, oh, this works better for me than that. and really just more personalization. Mhm.
Something that I really want you to talk to our listeners, and again, we're going to have you back on the show because there's so much more here that we want to go over, but I really want our listeners to get an idea of this piece of insurance. So,
Mhm.
what you do, I know that there are many nutritionists who don't take insurance,
And
but you do.
yes, I do.
Why?
Because I can help people. In my model, when someone comes to me for a health assessment, I have an open door policy, and it's very much I want to meet you at your level. So if you just want to come in and pick my brain, great. If you want something more established, fantastic. And with gut, I'll tell you, sometimes it's not over in a week. It can take time. So I'm mindful of the fact that time costs money for everyone. So obviously, if we can use insurance to help offset a huge portion of that. They can come and go as they please. And really, some insurance providers will allow you to have 100% unlimited coverage, and you could see me all the time, and they'll cover.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is amazing.
I know. Fantastic.
You know, I'll say that when we think about gaps to care, gaps in healthcare, and people having access, I just love the fact that this is something that people need, and they're not being limited to it because of not being able to afford it due to insurance.
Right. Yep. It's amazing. And it's really phenomenal because then they can come in and get that support as much as they need. Truly.
Especially hand holding, right? So sometimes you got to do, how much hand holding do you find that you have to do?
Like the first month, I'm like, we're going to get to know each other really well. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay. I know what comes in, comes out, what makes you tick, all the above. Yeah.
Love that. I think you'd have to hold my hand too, Christiane. I think there'd be a lot of hand holding.
That's okay.
For me.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So I want you to tell our listeners, where can they find out more about you? How can they get in contact with you? Could you kind of share that, like social media, things like that?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, The Mint Nutrition. You can also find me on themintnutrition.com. Schedule a consultation call. I do free consultations, about 15 minutes, just to see if we're the right fit, answer lots of questions, and then we can run pre-authorizations for your insurance.
It's amazing. I love it. So thanks so much for coming back to the show. As I said, we're going to have you on again. And I think that, we have enjoyed hearing more about the practice. And I tell you, I just cannot, I know for my listeners, this is such a good thing for them to know that they can have access to this with their insurance. Amazing. So thanks again for coming back on the show.
Thank you.
If you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, well, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you. Quality shows in every aspect of what we do. Do you feel like you are taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services where we can help you safely work on solving that issue and your gut regimen for the new year. Remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. Right, Christiane?
Yes.
Right? Yes.
Absolutely.
The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. With Rose, there is a guarantee of what is in each and every bottle, and very few companies can offer you that. Also consider this time of year where everybody's getting sick. Make sure that you are picking up a bottle of Sweets elderberry syrup. It's just what you need to help your immune system get back on track or to stay on track. And don't forget that you can call into the studio as well, 844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. And remember, we are also streaming live on WSICnews.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter or X, LinkedIn, and Instagram Live. We will see you on the other side.
More of The L Show with Dr. Nicole Eastman from Rose Pharmacy straight ahead on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, staying windy and getting cold tonight as temperatures drop down into the mid-teens under a clear sky. By the time you're waking up Saturday morning, wind chills in the single digits across the Lake Norman area. Even though we'll have sunshine, we'll stay windy and cold, below freezing all day for our Saturday with high temperatures only up around 30, dropping back into the mid-teens again. The wind relaxes for Sunday. We're just a little less cold in the upper 30s to round out the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Having performed all over the world, written hit songs, and mentored artists, Rocky Lynn is making another stop here at home, playing at Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday. Listen each weekday morning for your chance to win tickets and meet and greet passes. And come hang out with us prior to the show. WSIC will be in front of Kane Center for the Arts from 6 to 7 p.m. Rocky Lynn this Saturday, kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Mooresville Parks and Recreation presents the Hitmen of Country, playing at the Charles Mack Citizen Center Friday, January 19th. Love country music? The Hitmen of Country have toured and recorded with some of the country's greatest artists, like Keith Urban, Trace Adkins, Travis Tritt, and Jason Aldean. For more information, go to visitmooresville.com. That's visitmooresville.com. Birkdale on Ice is still going on through January 28th. Time to lace up your skates and hit the ice. To make sure you can skate when you want, we recommend you making a reservation. For skate session info, including times and pricing, visit birkdalevillage.com. Want to attend the Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show? How about the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen each day to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Greater Charlotte Home and Garden Show, February 23rd through the 25th. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, January 26th through the 28th. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
You're listening to Dr. Nicole Eastman. It's the L Show on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to the L Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Eastman. If you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, well, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you. Quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And do you feel like you may be taking too many medications, ineffective supplements, or both? Make sure that you take advantage of our consultation services where we can help you safely work on solving that issue. And your gut regimen for the new year, remember that everything begins and ends with a healthy gut. The effectiveness of any therapy that you may be on is linked to how well your gut is performing. So take advantage of a few of our gut bundles at Rose Pharmacy to help you get and stay on track throughout this year. And with Rose, there is a guarantee of what is in each bottle. Also, considering the time of year, make sure that you pick up a bottle of Sweets elderberry syrup, just what we all need to help our immune system. And very few companies, again, will be able to offer you what Rose offers you. Don't forget also that you can call into the studio, 844-STUDIO-4, or you can interact with us on social media with your comments and questions. And Christiane is still here with me, and if anybody calls in with questions, she can answer those questions on air. So where do we pick up? We began the first segment talking about, well, we talked about vaccines, and I'm going to continue talking about vaccines. I find that whether people are healthy or whether they suffer from chronic illnesses, that they generally don't always know what vaccinations they should be getting or why they should be getting a vaccination. So I want to take some time in this last segment to go over some things with you, starting with the populations that are most at risk from hospitalization or death. And those really start with our chronic illnesses. So diabetes. Why do people with diabetes tend to get sick? Well, I think it's interesting that we had this conversation about gut and we had the conversation about sugar. Well, I was always taught in pharmacy school that bugs love sugar. And so people with diabetes have higher sugar loads. We know this is the whole point of diabetes. Well, with these higher sugar loads, with these higher glycemic indexes, your it affects how smooth your blood flow is. It affects everything. It causes, basically, think about like pouring a sugar scrub into a a straw. And that literally is how, and that's the quickest example I can think of. But you're pouring sugar scrub into a straw, and you think about how slow that's going. Well, that's not the way your blood is supposed to move. And so if it's slowing up, and it's because it's all cakey, that's when you start to have buildup. And then you are set up for all kinds of things. That's why people have issues. People who are diabetic, have issues with their eyes. They have issues with their kidneys because everything is really clogged up. So it makes these people much more susceptible to having uh, many issues with many organ systems in their body. So that's the reason why those people should be vaccinated. When you think about someone with diabetes who, say, for instance, is having issues with neuropathy, right? And they have to have their toe removed because, it's got it. They cut it. They didn't realize that it got cut. It got infected. It became septic. They had to remove the toe. Well, that person now who is in the throes of flu season, in the throes of all the other illnesses that are going on, think about if their body, if they are exposed to, say, the flu, their body is probably not able to, not 100% of the time, their bodies are not going to be able to respond to appropriately how to fight off the flu. So these vaccinations for that particular population are going to, number one, help to prevent the possibility of them being hospitalized and possibly dying, but also it's going to help them to naturally fight off infection. Again, we know that we have folks who they're going to do what they want to do, but I will tell you, if you have anyone who is a diabetic in your family, there are certain vaccinations that they should have. Flu is one of them, and we are in the throes of flu season. So flu is absolutely one of those things. COVID, vaccination as well. So I would say COVID-19. I know how people feel about the COVID vaccination, but what we are talking about is how can we make sure that our loved ones can make it through season after season while they suffer from this chronic illness. So COVID-19 vaccination is one of these vaccinations that they also need to get. Pneumococcal vaccine. So that's pneumonia. People with diabetes, like I said, it's a multiple system issue. They often will have problems with their lungs. So we want to make sure that they are getting protected. If they get pneumonia, what's going to happen? They're 9 times out of 10 not going to be able to fight the infection. And pneumonia is often one of the leading causes of death when these diabetics are hospitalized. Hepatitis B. If you are unvaccinated and younger than the age of 60, okay, hepatitis B is really, you should be vaccinated against hepatitis B. Okay, so you want to talk to your healthcare provider about that. Tdap, that's another, the tetanus. You should have that. You should also have shingles. You should also have your RSV vaccine. And I've already mentioned COVID-19. So that is for our diabetics. Those are the things that diabetics need to have with regard to their vaccinations. Now, what about people with asthma, people with COPD or other lung conditions? Those folks also need to be vaccinated. Already, when you have asthma and when you have COPD, you have what we call a reactive airway. So it's already a little more difficult for you to breathe. So imagine that person with COPD, with asthma, a hyperreactive airway issue, getting the flu or getting pneumonia. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad because they already have problems breathing. So now you're going to add on something else that's going to make it difficult for them to breathe. So that's the reason why we need to be giving these people the vaccine. That's the reason why the vaccine is there. It is there to make sure that we don't cause there are fates that are worse than death, and I will say that. This is my opinion. People may not believe me, but I'll say this. I know personally that if I am feeling okay and I may have a chronic illness, but I'm feeling okay and I don't get vaccinated, I get the flu, I end up in the hospital. I already have damage going on the inside, and the further progression of what I'm exposed to. So I get the flu, and now I start having issues with my breathing, and now I have more scarring in my lungs, and now I need help to breathe. I don't want to live personally. Okay, again, this is my opinion. I don't want to live with having to have assistance breathing. I don't want to do it. I wouldn't want to put that strain on my family. I mean, I think about those things. So for me, all right there, I'm definitely going to get my vaccination. Think about people with heart disease as well. Those people with heart disease, it's a sad state of affairs when, we have many elderly people who suffer from heart disease, and they may not even really know it. And it isn't until they are exposed to some vaccine preventable illness that everything just goes to bed, basically, that they now are suffering with heart failure. They're suffering with not being able to breathe. They're suffering with kidney issues. It just goes on and on. So I say this again, that vaccines are there to help people in specific populations, especially those people with these chronic illnesses, but they're also there for people who don't have those chronic illnesses. Why? I mentioned it earlier. It's because of something called herd immunity, okay? We need to make sure that we are protecting all of our loved ones, those people who are around us, right, we don't want to put them in the hospital. Just because we're healthy doesn't mean that we can't spread an illness. Just because we're healthy doesn't mean that viruses, they don't care about our intentions. They don't care about our intentions, right? But we know better. So again, I know I'm on a vaccine kick, and again, I put out there that not everyone agrees with, vaccines, but as a healthcare provider, I have very strong recommendations with regard to people being vaccinated and being vaccinated appropriately for their situation. I think about those people who can't even get vaccinations because they have a medical contraindication. And I am saying, I don't want to get a vaccination. I'm not going to do it, but yet I'm going to be around those people who may not be able to get it. I just think that's kind of, to me, it's just negligence. So again, I just say, this is the time of year where everyone is sick, time of year that we want to protect ourselves and we want to protect others. Get vaccinated. That is my strong recommendation. If you or your healthcare provider has been looking for a quality compounding pharmacy in the Lake Norman area, look no more. Rose Pharmacy is the place for you, where quality shows in every aspect of what we do. And if you feel as though you're taking too many medications or ineffective supplements, make sure you take advantage of our consultation services, where we can help you safely work on solving that issue. Be mindful of your gut regimen for this new year. Rose Pharmacy has many bundles that will be very beneficial for you. And don't forget that you can always call with questions if you need anything or want more insight into what we are talking about today. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
The new 105.9, 100.7